Hi and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I am going to be reacting to bad therapist stories on TikTok. I wanted to make this video as a little celebration because I finally got monetized here on YouTube, and I thought this would be kind of a little fun change of pace to do something that's purely for entertainment. And of course, I will be giving my 2 cents as a therapist as we watch these videos. So let's hop right into it. My name is Alyssa Powers, and I created this YouTube channel to teach you the things that grad school didn't so you can thrive as a mental health professional. Like I said, this video is a little bit different than my typical content, but if you're interested in becoming a therapist, or you are a therapist, or you're even just someone who's interested in mental health, I would love it if you would subscribe and stick around because I absolutely love making this kind of content. Let's get straight into it. Most of these videos I have not seen. I had to kind of go through and find videos that would be worth reacting to. So some of them I've seen like the first little clip of, but I tried to save it for when I'm actually reacting. So let's go.
Share the worst thing your therapist has ever said to you.
Oh boy, do I have a good answer to this, but first, massive trigger warning for anyone who has ever experienced sexual abuse. After I was sexually assaulted, a Christian counselor came highly recommended by a lot of people. And when I saw her, I explained what had happened, and she confirmed, yes, that is absolutely rape. However, it's really disappointing that you were in a room alone with a man, because we all know men can't help themselves. They really struggle with temptation.
As a priorly very religious person, this is triggering on so many levels. And also, a lot of Christian counselors are not licensed. Like, a lot of them just have masters in divinity, which is crazy that churches let them practice as counselors. But let's keep listening.
What were you wearing? I know what you should do. You should come to therapy with him, as in with my rapist, and repent of your sins together. Also, she recommended that I sign a pledge to never again have sex before marriage, because this was obviously my bad. And I swear to God, she ended the session by saying she didn't think that I was beyond hope. Needless to say, this was a horrific experience with a counselor. However, it's really important to note, counseling, therapy is amazing. It saved my life.
Yeah, if you can see it here on the screen. And she goes on to say, like, therapy's great. Don't let my experience deter you. But it says that turns out this lady wasn't even a registered or certified counselor, which, yeah, is crazy. Churches will say like, oh, we have pastoral counseling, or we have counselors, we have marriage counselors. And a lot of times those people are just pastors, lay people, like they are not licensed in any way. There's actually full-on counseling, Christian counseling practices that will call people counselors, and they are not in any way licensed, and they're allowed to do it because there's no jurisdiction, there's no license to take from them. So it is very much skeezy, false advertising. That is like, I mean, good on this person for saying that therapy is great, because I feel like if I had such a traumatic experience and then someone was completely victim blaming, invalidating, shaming, I mean, none of that is like the reaction you're supposed to have. So that is kind of crazy.
A lot of really bad therapists out there. And I got a little triggered this evening in one of my therapists' Facebook groups that has almost 100-some thousand therapists in it. Someone had a prompt that said, "What do you find concerning in the mental health space as of late?" And I clicked on it because there were like 400 comments, majority of which were mocking everyone's neurodivergent. Everybody has ASD, ADHD, or BPD. Having autism is so trendy. Self-diagnosis is valid. With the laughing emojis, 500 likes on these comments. Multiple therapists commenting, "Oh, I was fired and called ableist. Ha ha ha, me too, me too."
Whoa. I think a lot of therapists get so burnt out that they almost can't have empathy for certain diagnoses. It sounds like that's what's happening in this Facebook group. I'm not on any therapist Facebook groups, but I am on Reddit, and I do see a ton of negativity on there, not towards clients, but more so towards the profession. But there's also something called negativity bias, where people are going to go out of their way to comment and share stories that are negative instead of positive, because we want to commiserate as humans. So that's sad. There is a huge influx, I would say, of people self-diagnosing. That's probably true, but I mostly have clients that come to me and say, like, I know I shouldn't self-diagnose, but I saw this video or whatever. And a lot of times it can be helpful. If anything, like, it's good that they've already thought it through, unless they're getting completely, like, incorrect information. But yeah, the Jesus saves. This is hilarious. So choose your bad therapist. Lucas, the Jesus saves Masters of Divinity. That's what I was just talking about. Having, like, that's a Masters of Divinity is like you're able to be a pastor. Okay. A really old therapist that's falling asleep. I know multiple people that have had therapists fall asleep on them. That's insane. But clearly, just listening just puts them right to sleep. I'd be so horrified if that happened to me. Not like I would fall asleep, because that would never happen to me unless I was, like, tranquilized or something. But, like, if I were the client. Way too empathetic, a crybaby. And he said licensed social worker. That's funny. Yeah, you don't want to cry. I've teared up, but you don't want to, like, straight up cry if your clients are crying. The private pay only snob, that'd be me, even though I do accept a few insurances, but I relate. That's funny.
Put a finger down, bad therapist edition. Put a finger down if you ever went to meet with a new therapist and you were surprised to find that the therapy office was in an open space in their house, but you went about it anyway, and then you heard someone walking around in the house.
Oh my gosh. So you are, from what I last heard, which was in grad school years ago, you are allowed to have a home office that therapy clients come to, but it has to have, like, a separate door. It has to be completely sealed off from the rest of the house. There's, like, a couple stipulations, but that's not unheard of.
And flushing the toilet. So you asked who else was there listening to your private conversation, to which you responded, "Are you hearing things?" So you sidestep that conversation and you start talking about your family, and she says, "Your mom was probably stupid." To which you respond, "What are you talking about? You don't know my mom. Don't talk about my mom that way." So you sidestep that conversation, and she starts telling you all the private details of your best friend's therapy sessions with her, which is a HIPAA violation. So you realize that you're sitting across from what is probably the worst therapist in the world, and she says this: "If you see any negative reviews about me on Google, it's probably from all of the borderline patients." So you leave and you never come back. Put a finger down.
What in the red flag? That's crazy. Also, insulting people's family, even if they are coming in to talk about their family, is, like, never a good look. Like, you still need to be respectful. People love their family, like, core level. People want to be close to their family, even if they're estranged. Let's see what the comments are like. That was a wild ride. Someone said, "My therapist was 30 minutes late for my first session, asked me a few questions for 5 minutes, then diagnosed me with 5 different diagnoses and sent me home." That's crazy. It's also, like, if you know that you're seeing people that are friends with each other or siblings or something, like, you would never want to share about them. That's so crazy. Like, I've seen people that were roommates and then they started to not get along. I've seen couples that then would break up, or I mean, I really tried to stop seeing people who knew each other because it's really hard to be unbiased. Like, it just is. We're humans, right? Like, I'm gonna take a side in my brain, in my therapist's brain, maybe not, but in my human brain, I am.
I'm going to tell you about a situation that happened last week with my old therapist.
Okay, if you're not a TikTok person, just know this is a very popular voice effect on TikTok, and yes, it's kind of annoying.
She is my old therapist for this reason. I was using a site called Growth Therapy to help me find a therapist, and my psychiatrist he recommended it to me, and I have nothing against this site. They're great. But I found this therapist through them, and she seemed great, so I booked a couple sessions with her. I believe I started therapy with her in April, and I was only booking them in when I could. So the first time I saw her, she was 20 minutes late. And I was sitting there, and I was wondering what was going on, and then I got a message from her saying that she was having problems with her connection because it was a video call. We're having some major outages all along the coast of where I live, so I understood. She seemed nice enough, so I booked another session. That session, she was 5 to 10 minutes late because she was with another patient. Okay, understandable, that's fine. Then, this last
fellow's
week...
already way too understanding. I would be like, goodbye, different person. I mean, the outage is one thing, but like, I am never late. I am almost always on time. If I'm 2 minutes late, I am like feeling guilty that I'm cutting into their time. Like, how do you not? They're paying you. I don't get this.
I had a trip coming up over the weekend, and I knew I was really stressed. I had a lot going on my plate, and I needed therapy. I knew I needed it. So I booked another session with her. We were meant to meet on Thursday after I got off work. I knew I had a lot to do for the trip, I had to pack, but I wanted to put aside this time for myself. So at the time the session is supposed to start, I sit and I'm waiting in this virtual waiting room, and she's not online. And 5, 10, 15 minutes go by, she's not online. I'm like, okay, I can't wait anymore. I have so much to do. This is just, it's ridiculous. 3 times in a row that she has been late. And I didn't realize it was going to affect me this much. Like, my heart is beating just talking about it. It makes me upset because I do have legit abandonment issues, but I know.
Yeah, you're literally trying to get help and you're just having a therapist reiterate your abandonment problems. It's so unacceptable. I don't think there's any valid reason for a therapist to be late or absent 3 times in a row. Like, one time, maybe. There are emergencies. If a client is having an emergency or whatever, like, yes. But is that really going to happen 3 times in a row to the same patient? No, I don't buy it.
Y'all wanna know what fucked me up today?
Already, I can tell this one's going to hit hard. You can tell she's, like, upset just starting this.
So I've been seeing a therapist. All's been well. Literally, I had my first appointment with her. It was great. Like, I was like, oh my god, this is my dream lady. Like, thank goodness she understands me. She gets me. We're great! And then, last week, before my appointment, she texts me and she goes, hey, I can't make it. Can we reschedule? I said, sure. No worries. We'll do it. Just tell me, give me a day and time, love. We'll do it. Well, we rescheduled for today. And I get a text that says, I don't think I'm meant to work with you.
What? Why would the therapist do it that way? Like, reschedule her and then the day of cancel and say that she doesn't want to work with her? Oh my god.
Run that back! Say that again! Did you just break up with me? Linda, what if that was my last straw? I have abandonment issues, babe! I can't afford that kind of response! What did I do? Everything was going so well, Linda. We were on great terms. Like, I thought we were good. I can't believe I just got broken up with by my therapist. I've never had that happen to me before. And I don't even want to go to another therapist because if it happens again, oh, that's it. I'm gone. I can't even be fixed. Y'all.
That's so sad. That's so sad. And it sounded like this woman was really connecting to her too, like liked the therapist and was feeling like the rapport. Oh my goodness. I just think there's so many things wrong with this. Like, we are, as therapists, allowed to say no. Like, you're allowed to provide referrals and tell them they need to seek out someone else, especially if someone's outside of your scope. But really, you need to do a better job onboarding a client to make sure that they're not outside of your scope, or that they're not dealing with something that you're gonna like hate treating and then down the line want to get rid of them. Like I always say, like, once a client starts with me, until they're ready to leave, I'm pretty much gonna stick it out with them. So that's really sad. And this poor girl, she probably feels like beyond help. You know, that's how that would make me feel.
One time I had a man therapist, never again, here's why.
Oh boy.
He would gaslight the living shit out of me. Like, I don't know, he owned the private practice. I don't know who gave him his credentials. One time I was bitching about my unemployed boyfriend who didn't do any of the household duties, and I was like, I'm just so frustrated, I feel alone. And my therapist was like, how old is he? And I told him like 22 or however old he was. And my therapist was like, Haley, 22-year-old men have the maturity of 16-year-old women. So you have to keep in mind that you are just going to be way advanced compared to him. Like, be patient with him, like, give him a break. What the fuck kind of advice? It gets so much worse. One time I had a little video go viral in like a bad way. I was at the lowest point of my mental health ever. I had millions of people trying to dox me, try to find my family. And I went in having an absolute breakdown. Instead of being a regular person being like, oh, how do you feel about that? He pitched me a business proposal idea for how he could use my social media following to further his business. He also told...
What in the heck? Where are these people? Where are these therapists that are doing this stuff? Like, insane. And he owned the practice.
Therapy's so weird. I went to my first therapy session with a new counselor today, and you know, you go through and you're telling them your whole life story, like, this is why I am the way I am. And halfway through, I start asking her questions. Like, yeah, so, like, tell me about your kids. Where are you guys from? She, like, politely answers, and she's like, yeah, so back to what we were talking about. It's just so weird to tell somebody so much about yourself, but then you don't get to know anything about them. Weird.
I've had clients do this to me just randomly out of nowhere, be like, so how was your weekend? And I'm like, good. But like, that's all you're gonna get from me. It's funny. I think this woman in this video obviously has a lot of empathy and deeply feeling people like want to be able to also connect in that way with you. So I totally get it. I've kind of felt like that with my therapist too. I'm like, oh, I want to know, like, I want to know about her life and hear things from her perspective too, but got to keep it focused on yourself, of course.
Okay.
This says,
Why'd you have to bring that
remember
up?
when your old therapist fell asleep during your Zoom session? I cannot believe this happens. Insane. Okay, it says, when my therapist told me I could write my thoughts and email them to him privately. And then read it all out loud to my therapist. Let me guess that, oh no, it does say pastors are not therapists. Yep. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for being here. I'd love to hear your own therapy horror story in the comments. Hopefully you don't have one, but if you do, I would be curious to hear about it. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.